Hello, welcome,
Hi,
Lucia.
good evening and welcome everyone. It's lovely to have such a nice crowd, and it will be even nicer if we can see your faces. Otherwise, I feel lonely. Welcome to the session. Today we're going to talk about emotional intelligence, as you might have guessed from the Meetup page. And this is a talk I'm really passionate about, and it came out in a really weird way. I'll tell you the story in a second, but let's talk about what we're going to learn. We're going to learn what emotional intelligence is. Maybe some of you already know, but we'll dive a little bit deeper into that. We're going to talk about what impact, why is it relevant in the workplace, but also in our private lives. And we're going to talk about the impact of low emotional intelligence. And I'm going to share maybe some tips, some ways that have been crucial to me to grow emotional intelligence. But before we do that, I'd like to maybe invite the people in this call, because this is going to be interactive. That's why I'm inviting you to come on screen. Click on the three dots that are next to your name and rename yourself, showing where you're coming from. So, for example, Alexander will say, Alexander from Serbia. I'd like to know where. I know there's some friendly faces, some people that I already know, so it's lovely to see you. But I would also like to know where the other people are coming from. So that, yes. So Nicola from UK, thank you. And we're going to do some sharing as well. So please participate, because you are crucial to make this session awesome. And I'm going to get started and share my desktop so that you can see what I'm seeing. Here we go. Okie dokie. Can you see my desktop?
Yes.
The slides? Yes? Okie dokie. So let's start by I'll share the link to this board later, but at the moment you don't need to worry about that. So just follow me as we're going through this. Let's start by looking at what emotional intelligence is, and I'm sure some of you are already familiar with this concept. This is the Oxford Dictionary definition, and so we refer to emotional intelligence as our capacity to be aware and control the way we express our own emotions. And so we recognize them, we can handle them, and we use them effectively to have constructive and effective relationships with other people. Everyone familiar with that? Thumbs up if you are. Yes. Even the people without screen, please put a thumbs up. Yes. Wonderful. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on it if you're already familiar, but stop me anytime if you have questions. And I'm gonna have a look in the chat as well in case there are any. Wonderful. So there's four fundamental skills of emotional intelligence. And, you know, the two of them, the one you see at the top, refer to ourselves, is how we are able to recognize what we feel and handle it in a constructive way. So we don't lose our temper, basically. And then the other two are about how we recognize other people's emotion and how we use the information to influence our relationship and to help others in an effective way. So as you can imagine, the skills are not just useful for ourselves, for our own emotional balance and well-being, but they're also very useful in any interaction with others. And they are super important in the workplace, even if we don't talk about emotions. We barely talk about emotions. And so I'm going to share a little story about how this talk came to life. Basically, my sister called me. I have a little niece. Her name is Miriam. And my sister called me. She was furious. And she told me, oh, you don't know what mom did. She showed a horrible video to Miriam, and she was laughing while she was looking at the screen, and she was really upset. So the video we're going to watch is a prank. It's I found it horrible. But we're going to look at how these kids, because they're all kids, emotional intelligence is being pushed to the edge and there are little ones. So they react in very different ways, some very unskillful, but they're little ones. So we forgive them for that. But we probably forgive less the moms. So, you know, the people that had the idea to record the video while they were being smashed an egg on their forehead. So the video is funny, but the way this talk was born, where the idea of this talk was born, is because she called me very upset and she sent me the video asking me, what do you think? Like, it's horrible. How is Miriam supposed to have fun with this? And the moment I received the call, we were in a car and I was, my husband was driving, we were going somewhere. And the whole family was in it. So at the back seat, I had my two kids. They are teenagers, and we started a conversation about this. What do you think? What's happening? And so we started to talk about emotional intelligence in the car. And as we were talking, I was taking notes on an email because I thought, oh, this is a great workshop. And so don't believe I'm crazy, because I am a little bit. But what we're going to do now, we're going to watch the video together. And I want you to have a look and notice the different types of reactions that you see. And then we're going to talk about what's happening here. Okay? You with me? Ready? Okay, let's do it.
Let me crack this egg. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yes. That was very nice. That was very nice. Can I do it to you?
You ready?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Taking the eggs.
Cracking. Okay. Another one? Okay. You want to crack this egg?
Yeah, don't act like I don't know that.
Okay, I'll pause it here. And I'll stop sharing for a second because I'd like to hear your first thoughts. Maybe let's hear some voices, or let's share in the chat. What are you noticing? What's happening here? Hey, Karen. Good to have you. What's up? I know it's horrible. Yeah, it's horrible. But we're here to learn from it. And let's forgive the mums and the aunties for a second. So let's hear in the chat. What are your first observations? Anyone?
I'm just thinking, I thought maybe it hurts.
It hurts. Yeah. Why? Why does it hurt?
I don't know. It's an egg. I mean, it's not pleasant at all. And then probably it's not a nice.
Yeah, it's unexpected, right? They really don't know what's gonna happen. Someone is saying, Karen, you could clearly see the different levels of emotional. Oh, yes. So they're testing how kids react to an unforeseen event.
Mm-hmm.
And the reactions are completely different. There's discomfort of the babies, for sure, but the way they handle their own emotions and they respond to the prank, it's very different. And so what I've tried to do, I haven't watched this one only. If you Google on YouTube, egg prank or egg prank gone wrong or something like that, you're going to find many, even with adults. And so I've watched a few, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to watch them all here, but I can tell you that I've gone through a number of them to observe different types of reaction. And this is what I've noticed. Let's go back to the board. I've called them in different ways. So the first type of reaction I noticed was the what the hell.
Mm-hmm.
These are kids who are just upset, like they're looking at what the hell is wrong with you? And they don't say anything. They're just looking at their mom or auntie or whatever that person is, and they're very surprised about what has happened. You've seen quite a few that do this way. The second type of reaction I've noticed is revenge. There's a minority of them that respond to the prank. So they react. They don't just, look at their mom very surprised by her behavior, but they either smash. There's a girl that smashes her dad. There's a lady who will, take the bowl and there was a flower in it. I don't know if you see the mom behind it. She will just put the flower on top of her mom's head. Another girl that, she's hating her mom. So there's very, very different reactions going on here. And then there's another one. That's fun. What did you notice here? What are you noticing here?
Joy.
Joy.
There's some kind of happy.
Yes. What else are you noticing in this slide?
They're all boys.
They're all boys. I couldn't find. Actually, there was a girl, and
There was a girl.
There was a girl. She had a Down syndrome,
Yep.
and so she's somehow different from the other boys, for the other kids, but they're all boys. And why are they reacting this way, you think?
I don't want to say because they are mean.
Oh, no, come on. Why are they? So what's making it fun for them compared to the others that react in a different way? What are they assuming?
I don't know about in other countries of the world, but in the US, there is a predilection towards boys are more mischievous, boys have pranks played, boys play pranks, girls are sugar and spice and everything nice, right? And they don't appreciate pranks. And we come prepared with our makeup and our hair is done. And even as little girls, they notice that social studies have found that little girls are more about the sugar and spice and everything nice instead of the pranks.
Yes. So when we had this conversation in the car, my two boys at the back in the back seat said, "Mom, if Dad did it to us, we would have had fun with him and throw heads at him. If you did it with us, we would have reacted in a different way." So there was an element about the relationship with the person who's doing the thing to them. But I also see assuming a positive intention. So what they're doing is they're taking things lightly. Oh, this is fun. So imagine if the prank was from a friend of them. Oh, this would have gone, eggs all over the apartment. Yeah, because it's between peers. While if someone with authority does it to them, they look at, what's wrong with you? Like, what's happening? Yeah, it's really uncomfortable. Unless that person is at the same level as they are. Can you see that? Yeah. So let's go back to the presentation, because then I want to show you the fourth type of reaction, my hero. And now you're going to tell me why she's my hero. Let's go back to the video because I want to show you only this one.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yes. That was very nice. That was very nice. Can I do it to you?
Okay, the mom and auntie are dying. But I want you to focus your attention on why this girl is different from others. Why?
She vocalizes.
She talks. Yes. And what does she say? She
Wasn't
says,
very nice.
that wasn't very nice. Let me do it to you. What does that mean?
Let me show you how it feels.
Yes. Now you got to see my perspective because this is horrible. I feel bad. I'm capable of saying it, but then she falls into the revenge piece. Let me do it to you so you feel how I feel. which is what the others did without being able to express it. Do you know what I mean? And so if we go back to the emotional intelligence piece, she's emotionally aware. Let's go back to it. Let me share screen again. She's emotionally aware. So she's here. She recognizes her emotions. She's even able to express, verbalize her emotion. But when it comes to managing them, she can't do that. So what she wants is she wants the other person to feel what she feels because it's horrible. Now, these are kids. And so I don't know if you know, but emotional intelligence, it's something that we will develop, and it does grow over time. And even if we are adult, we can further develop emotional intelligence. And the impact of having high levels of emotional intelligence is huge on the way we manage relationships and on the way we manage ourselves. And therefore, we influence our relationships. Now, I'd like you to go to breakout rooms. So I'm going to ask Alexander to create breakout rooms to have a 10-minute pair discussion. And the discussion is going to be, wait a sec, I'm going to give instructions first. The discussion is going to be the following. Now, probably you haven't been smashed an egg on your forehead in the workplace, but I'm sure you've gone through some unforeseen events. So something did something to you. One thing that happened to me, I was personally attacked in front of my manager by someone. And that was hard to manage. I really had to, control myself to avoid overreacting because I felt attacked. So what I want you to do in breakout rooms is to recall an event that was, unforeseen circumstances to you, and how you felt, how you responded or react. Maybe that wasn't super skillful, or maybe it was, but that's fine. We're not here to judge anyone. We're here to reflect on our capability to respond to an unforeseen event and reflect on it through the frames of what we have discussed so far. And what I'd like you to think about is, what is the ideal response? So if you had to go back to it now, with cold blood, not with, rage or, hot feelings, what would be the ideal response to that unforeseen event? Okay, any questions before we go to breakout rooms? Okay, let's go. Let's have a
10 minutes, okay.
10 minutes, yeah. We'll bring you back, let's say at 5 minutes past.
Okay.
Share this with your peer, and then we'll hear the learning from your conversation. I'm going to put the questions in the chat so it's easy for you to have them handy.
Lucia, am I in a room with you?
You'll be assigned randomly. I'm going to be
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to start right now.
wonderful.
Oh, okay.
You have to accept invite to join breakout rooms. Here we go. Alexander, am I supposed to join the room? I'm assigned to room 2.
No, you are not. I'm going to join.
Will the person in room 2 be alone?
Yeah, no, I'm going to join that room.
Wonderful. I'll be here.
Okay, some of us are back, some of us didn't yet, but I want to say we didn't have a paired number. So there was someone who was alone. I tried to put everyone not to be alone, but that was very complicated because some of them were leaving, some of them were coming in, but I think we have a good result. That's important.
Let's see what those that were able to have good conversations have learned. Let's wait for everyone to be back. I think we're still missing someone. Tell me, Alexander, let me know.
Yeah, there's
our
going to
thumbs
be
up.
14 participants, don't
Here we
worry.
go. Here we go. Okay, I'd like to hear what you've learned in your breakout room discussion. So when this happens in the workplace, we're not kids, right? But things happen in the workplace, and there are, Jakub, can I kindly ask you to mute yourself because we're hearing, thank you. So when these things happen in the workplace and we're triggered, it becomes hard for us to stay in balance and avoid overreacting. So in your conversations, what are some, ideas or thoughts you have exchanged about what you will do differently now and what the ideal response should be in a situation that you've been through? Let's hear a few voices. Even in the chat if you don't want to talk.
I don't mind talking about mine if that helps. So the one that immediately came to mind for me, because it was a situation that definitely put me into a bit of a trauma response and quite a lot of emotional reaction, was a colleague I'm close to at work went into cardiac arrest in the office in front of me. So we had emergency services there, and they needed to send a helicopter to take him to the hospital. So we had to get the building to clear the car park. So I'd gone around the offices to say, can you move your cars out the car park because a air ambulance is trying to land? And most people moved their cars and behaved appropriately. There were a few people who were like, what's happened? Tell me what's going on. And took it as a gossip. And I was quite abrupt and terse with them and said, I'm not talking to you about this, move your car, and was quite abrupt. I think given the stakes and the criticality of what's happening, that probably was appropriate. But actually, with the benefit of hindsight, I should have gone and spoken to them afterwards and said, look, if this happens again, can you be more respectful and just move your car? Because actually what you did there was make me really distressed, more distressed, and actually it wasn't helpful and you're not entitled to that information. So with the benefit of hindsight, I probably should have in the next couple of days gone and spoken to people and said, look, seriously, guys, when you did this made me feel like this, and actually, if this happens again, can you maybe not do that?
Thanks for sharing that, Nicola.
Yeah.
And a very vulnerable story. And, in the moment, it's super difficult because that could be shocking circumstances.
Yeah.
It's quite hard to regulate our own reactions. But what I'm hearing from you is we share how we feel and we explain what's happening to us so that others can understand why we're feeling this way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I think it's also looking back on it, it's also been having a little bit of self-compassion for myself, because in that environment, I'm not an emergency service person, so I'm not trained to deal with that situation. I'm there as a kind of bystander trying to help. And actually, I'm emotionally involved with it. So to some extent, I think looking back, I'm like, well, of course I'd be more distressed than I would be normally. But actually, I probably, if it happened again, I'd want to speak to people because there's a learning thing for everybody there about how to respond.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's hear another story. Thanks for sharing that.
That's all right.
Another story. Let's hear another story. Or maybe different thoughts on the ideal response in such a difficult situation.
Hi, I can share my story. Unfortunately, my camera is broken somehow. I cannot.
No worries.
Fix it, so you have to imagine myself. The story is the situation when in some work environment someone is aggressive and attacking you or trying to communicate in an aggressive way their concerns about some situations. Yeah, and when someone is doing it in an aggressive way, it wakes up the aggression on the other side. Some people can feel in the way they are, closing down, freezing, and some other may feel or raise aggression in themselves. And I'm the person who freezes, and of course there's lots of emotions inside, but I'm considered as a calm person in such a stressful situation from the other side. Like my colleagues from work, they said, "Oh, I admire you can control your emotions and you're like a steel." But of course, it's partly true because their emotions are inside and they need to explode later on. But in such situations, the first thing I'm trying to ask myself is what is happening? Why this person is aggressive? And of course, it's not the animal that wants to kill me and destroy me like some wild animals in the jungle. So for sure there must be some reason of such expressing and trying to go beyond and understand what is really going on. And sometimes it helps me to make a distance to the situation and also ask the other person what is trying what is trying to tell me, and what happened that it is so emotional and so aggressive to you. And sometimes it helps to calm down the situation.
Absolutely. And this is exactly what's happening to these wonderful boys. What are they doing differently from the girls? They're assuming positive intention. They're thinking, oh, my dad is doing it because he wants to have fun with me, not because he wants to hit me, which is something that is harder for the girls for some reason. I don't know. I found it really interesting. And I didn't notice that they were all boys. My son did. Oh, mommy, they're all boys. Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. And so what is difficult is summarized here beautifully in a quote by Viktor Frankl. Between what we feel and the recognition of our emotions and what's happening to us and the way we respond, there should be a pause. If we're able to pause, then we are able to reflect on what's happening to us and why it's happening. Like, why am I feeling this burning inside because that person is just attacked me? And what button has he pressed? And how am I supposed to respond? But this is not what happens most of the times because we are triggered, and we are triggered because we are animals. And as my friend Karen taught me, we fall in our fight, flight, freeze response. Now, in Jakub's case, is a freeze response. In my case, it's a fight response. If I feel attacked, I become a lion. And when I become a lion, I don't think about, oh, what's the most skillful way to respond to this guy? I just respond. You know what I mean? And so academic research, psychologist researcher, PhD Mark Brackett, there's a T missing there, designed a model to work through what we've just seen. And it's called RULER. It's a simple acronym, but it basically describes what should happen in the ideal scenario, right? And so we recognize what's happening to us. I'm feeling angry right now. okay, anger is going up the roof. I understand why it's happening. It's because he's just attacked me. So I can name the anger. I know where the anger is coming from. I can put the anger label on it. I don't feel confused by overwhelming emotions. I can express my anger in a constructive way. That wasn't very nice. And I can regulate my response. So instead of throwing the bowl at my mom, I can tell my mom, I feel really upset by what you did. Now, where did my hero stop in this framework?
When she did the egg to her mum, or
Yes, she missed the last R, right? She was really, really good until verbalizing what she was feeling, but then she just lost her temper. How about the other guys? Where did they stop? Where did they stop? Anyone wants to give it a go? Where did they stop in this framework? Imagine the girls were like,
Probably didn't start this framework like at R.
they didn't even start. They were overwhelmed by emotion in most cases,
Mhm.
and they just kept to an unskillful response, which is a fight. You know, the ball is a fight response, but they couldn't go through the model. Now, what happens in the workplace if we just react? Let me stop sharing screen. What happens in our relationship as adults if we just react? Come on, guys. I want to hear your voices.
Well, there are two problems in the workplace, as I see it. The first one is that we are adults and we lack that kind of innocence. So we don't always assume a good agenda or a good intention. And the other problem is that we are expected to react fast because we are in that kind of environment, usually fast environment, ever-changing environment, and we are expected to react fast and maybe not stop the workflow even, you know. So when we come across that type of situation, we usually just don't have that much time to think about our emotions at that particular time. So we are expected to respond and to move on, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And as I'm saying what I'm saying, I don't want to seem like the person who knows what to do and it's always perfect, because I'm not at all. But if we're able to say, I'm not in a good place to give you a response right now because I'm feeling overwhelmed, let's talk about it when I feel better. We are giving a much better response, and we are demonstrating that
Yeah. Yes.
this is horrible for me right now. I can't have a constructive conversation, and I don't want to damage our relationship. Because if we
Yes,
talk
and
about
maybe
now,
in that way ensure our space and time to think about it and to really come across the ideal response in that situation in particular.
absolutely, yes. And so we create that space, that pause between the stimulus and the response. Otherwise, if we are skillful enough and we feel, you know, we can't regulate our emotions enough, we can try to express how we feel and just share it, because there's nothing wrong with feeling how we're feeling. And maybe ask the other person, what was your intention? Right? Why did this came across to me like this? What were you trying to say? Or, I don't know, what was it? Yeah, what was your intention?
Those are all good responses, actually. Thank you.
Yeah, but they are really hard to give in the moment. Now I'm going back to this, and I want you to look at the question mark, the question in red. What gets in the way of following this model for us and create that pause intentionally or respond in a more skillful way? Why is this so difficult for you?
Because it's left to us.
Say more, Karen.
We're human, right? We're prone to emotion. We are passionate people. If we feel that we are in the right, in fact, I was just reading something this morning about right versus wrong, right? There's always more than one perspective. There, potentially is no wrong. And to view it that way is a game changer. But if you look at it from the human perspective, we're still human. We're still prone to our passions. We're still, I would even go so far as to say, in some respects, prisoner to our passions, until we've learned to hold them as separate from us. And the other piece of it is the first bits of information that come in are through the reticular activating system, which checks for emotion and it checks for familiarity. And if this is something that feels like something that felt ugly before, then our brain, our little reticular activating system jumps right in and is like, oh, we know how to respond to this crap, right? And it zings off to the limbic system where we have a chance to respond emotionally, right? And it's not until we can calm down and allow that thought to continue into the prefrontal cortex where we have an option of thinking about it rationally, right? And for those of us that are ever like, you feel that emotion, you're like, okay, I'm calm. Then you go back to, but I should have said this, right? And then you go back to, oh, come on, Karen, that wasn't wise. You should never have said that. That just tells us that our emotional intelligence is still trying to figure this out,
You can see that my friend Karen is passionate about this topic, at least
as
much as I am. And thanks, Karen. And Nicola is saying the emotional part of our brain is super quick. Yes, indeed, because we are animals. We need to react to a threat, right? And the more rational bit takes longer to kick in. Absolutely, which is exactly what Karen was saying as well. Now, getting to a place where we can actually manage that effectively, for some people is a lifelong journey. For some people, they're never going to get there. For some other people, they have arrived quicker. And now when I was publishing this talk on LinkedIn, someone was asking me, what's been your game changer to, I wouldn't say to be able to respond skillfully, because I still have a lot to improve, but to create that pause a little bit more intentionally and, take care of yourself before you can respond skillfully and, and still keep good relationships with others or support others. And what I've seen in people around me that have started this journey, that have arrived before me to a better place, is this. I've noticed that people who are mindful, who cultivate mindfulness and meditation as a life practice, are more capable and more skillful in creating that space between stimulus and response. Before I dive into this, I'd like to define mindfulness because it's not meditation. There's a lot of confusion between mindfulness and meditation. John Kabat-Zinn, who is one of the maximum expert of mindfulness in the world, is an author and he runs courses, mindfulness and meditation courses, describes mindfulness as paying attention in the present moment with openness and curiosity and without judgment. So we are focusing on an activity now, what's happening in the present, and we are open to whatever happens and we welcome whatever emotions we feel without judgment. We just accept what comes. Now, there's a variety of mindful activities. Let's read in the chat, maybe, who of you knows about mindful activities? Let's make this a little bit interactive. What mindful activities do you know that maybe you cultivate? So these are all activities that help you to focus in the present moment Breathing and meditation, of course, yes. Yoga, embodied movement, breath work. Knitting, absolutely. Coloring. So beading, all manual arts, okay? Playing an instrument, cooking, walking, skating, yes, any sports. What else? Climbing, any sports. And so these are all activity that forces us to focus in the present moment. And what I say is they clear our brain. And if we do that again and again, and it becomes a life practice, they help us create that pause. It's like we build a shield, and when negative energy comes to us, like these unforeseen events, the egg prank, we don't absorb it, we don't make it ours, but we are capable of staying emotionally in balance and therefore react skillfully instead of, bleh. Okay? Now, the difference with yoga and meditation is that yoga and meditation allow you to search inside yourself and know yourself better, which doing sports might do, might not do, or knitting probably doesn't. Okay. And so, but yeah, we don't become meditators or, mindfulness guru from one day to another. And so here are some easy ways that I can recommend for those of you who want to try to embrace mindfulness more in your life. So taking care of yourself, which goes very well in hand with listening to your body, like, what am I feeling right now? Checking in with yourself often. I'm feeling tense, and it's because I'm speaking to an audience, but that's okay. I'm okay. I probably need to rest before my next talk. I don't want work for 1 hour at least before I go for a talk. And I didn't do that. And so I took care of myself because I knew this would have been demanding of me, and I wanted to be at my best. I tried to be intentional. Practice focus activities, all the ones that you've listed in the chart, are beautiful ways to engage in, focus in the present moment and be present when you are with others. When I was living in Spain, I went to a restaurant and my kids wanted the Wi-Fi, and there was a writing on the wall: we don't have Wi-Fi, talk with one another. These phones are horrible because they take our presence away when we are with others. So, for example, a boundary I've put on myself is when I go to visit someone, I check the phone before I enter the house, and I don't look at the phone before I leave the house. That's my way of being present. And I am very sensitive if people do that, because when I go and visit someone, I want to dedicate full attention to the other person. Now, if we aren't capable of doing that, imagine what we can do in a meeting with our teams. We get distracted. LinkedIn notifications, WhatsApp, blink, blink. It's horrible. One day I disabled my WhatsApp notifications by mistake. And after a couple of hours full attention, I realized they were off. And I didn't know how. I didn't do it intentionally, but I realized that I was focusing so much more because my notifications were off. And it was I just couldn't believe it. And then practice gratitude. This is another way of, being mindful, because it helps you to focus on on the beautiful things that life brought to you and appreciate them, because it's not just about bad things. It's also about lots of things we need to be grateful for. I'm going to stop talking, and I'd like to hear from you. What helps you to stay in balance? What are your strategies? Let's write it in the chat. Or if you want to talk about it, I'm happy to hear your voice as well.
Yeah, Lucia, I would like to ask one question before participants are taking their time writing in a chat. We are talking about activities that are clearing your mind, and somehow I'm asking myself, inside my mind, what actually is clearing my mind? And I'm afraid of an answer. And I would like to ask you, is that answer actually credible? Or maybe that depends on differences between us. The answer, what clears my mind, is talking. And how can that clear my mind if I'm completely filling my mind with their informations? You know.
So you're focusing in the present moment. So having conversations where you are in really actively listening, it's a mindful practice. I talk about mindful conversations because you're fully focused on the other person and you are fully listening. You are in the present and you're welcoming whatever is coming with no judgment and acceptance. This is what coaches do.
Yeah.
And so that is, to me, it does meet, you know, it ticks all the boxes of what mindfulness is.
Yeah, so that was strange answer for me, to talk, to clear my mind, to talk. But I'm not a very good listener, I have to admit that. So I want to say, yeah, there is something new about that and something to work on.
Thank you.
Maybe in some way you're releasing all the thoughts. You're
Yeah.
letting all the thoughts out. So maybe that's what calms you down in a way. I don't
Yeah.
know. For me, it's listening to music. When I travel to work, I like to listen to music, and I always come to work in a better mood. So if I'm in a good mood, there's a little to none that can move me in a bad mood or in that way. So that was our conclusion from breakout rooms. It really depends on the mood. If we are in a good mood and something happens, I think that our response is better than if we are already stressed, or maybe are coming to work already like distracted or in some way in a bad mood. So all of the things you said really make sense and really are helping to get in that good mood. So we respond accordingly, you know.
Yeah,
and
these are all
and
activities. These are all activities that bring us joy. For me, it's playing guitar, it's sewing. I like creative sewing, knitting, all manual arts, any kind. For my husband, is painting. For my kids, is sports. And so it doesn't matter what it is. It's important that we have that me time for us. Because otherwise we're not in balance, and it's difficult to stay in balance when things happen, you know, when life throws bad things at us. So someone is saying leaving the phone in the other room, for sure. Yoga, meditation, pick your reps. I guess you've joined the positive intelligence course, Kate. And Nicola is saying spending time outdoors, absolutely. Being in contact with nature is another wonderful way to cultivate mindfulness. Live music, absolutely. Now, we are getting close to the end of this workshop today, and I'd like to pick your brain one last time. I'd like to hear one intention you want to set for yourself that will help you be more in balance starting from tomorrow. Let's write it in the chat, please, or feel free to share openly if you want to. So based on what you've learned today, what's going to change for you tomorrow? One tiny thing. More aerobic exercise. Thank you, Kate. Walk my dog longer. Yeah, I also noticed that starting the day like this, it's such an energizer. You think, oh, I don't have time for this. I've got so much to do today, but then you use your time more effectively. What else? Let's hear another couple of voices. Walking in the park, more fresh air and sun. Yes, absolutely. Wonderful. So beautiful people, we're very close to the end. I'd like to share one last slide. Oh, Nicola is saying 30 an hour every lunchtime doing something for me. Oh, that's so nice. Walk, knit, do some yoga, rest, or need to get away from the screen. Absolutely. So a couple of ways to stay in touch. One is to contact me on LinkedIn. And as I always do in any meetup where I go, particularly for Agile people like you, to the first 2 people that will contact me on LinkedIn, I'm going to ship to you a signed copy of the book I've co-authored with Claire, with my signature on it. And so that's, you know, that's my gift to you and my thank you for being here with me today. And then I'd like to say thank you to all the people that have been here. I'd like to read any other takeaways you have from this talk. Let's do a round. Thank you. What are you taking away from this session? Being mindful in the morning, Irena, thank you. I see some nice smiles.
Yeah, I really like the girl, not the, I mean, she did she hit her mom or auntie, doesn't matter. But I really like the way she just continued. She didn't stay in the emotion of stress. She just continued, like doing with the egg what was meant to be, right? So that's the main impression I have. Like, I'm thinking about it right now.
Thank
Like,
you.
even if you have a bad reaction, you know, you can just go back to.
We all do, as Kate is saying, we're all human. We're not perfect. And, you know, this is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
Thank you, Beatrice. I guess it's Beatrice Bottini, Italian, just like me. We're creating the space between stimulus and response. Thank you. You can find a lot about the ruler, or I think it's a similar one, it's not the ruler, in the book Permission to Feel. Really nice book. Any other takeaways from today? Labeling emotions. Thank you, Alexei. Wonderful. So thanks, Alexander and Yasmina, for organizing this. And I'm looking forward to shipping these 2 books to the wonderful people that contacted me first. Thank you again to all of you for being here. And it's been lovely to meet all of you.
Lucia, beautiful session. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope this is not the last time that we are going to have a session like this. It's very useful and it's very easy to end the day with session like this. So thank you very much.
So much.
I really do appreciate
Thanks
your
for having
time.
me. Enjoy your evening, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for joining tonight's session. See you next month, new session, and let's rock this year one more time. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.